This video by saying there will be minor spoilers for the 2025 Superman movie. No major plot points, but I will mention a couple unimportant scenes. Hello friends, welcome back to Mythical Squid Inc. I'm Matthew, and today I drew Superman and Krypto. A couple of days ago, I saw the new Superman, and I was at a loss for words. Everything about this movie was so excellently crafted, which was all thanks to James Gunn, who truly shines at making this type of movie. James Gunn did a great job at showing the characters for who they are. Superman felt like Superman, Lex Luthor felt like Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Hawkgirl, and even Jimmy Olsen. And then there's Krypto, a character who is admittedly not very comic book accurate, but he has character. James Gunn has said in an interview that Krypto was based off of his own dog, in looks and in the way he acts. And although counterintuitive, I think that makes him feel even more like Krypto. Not only that, but James Gunn also introduced lesser-known characters just as well. Green Lantern Guy Gardner was a fan-favorite comedic relief. Metamorpho, an even lesser-known character who I loved ever since I saw him in Justice League the Animated Series. And then there was Mr. Terrific. I had heard the name before, but I have never seen him in action, and wow. Just wow. What an awesome character. Which brings me to my next point. Acting/casting. The cast of this movie was absolutely astounding. Everyone in this movie played their roles to perfection. Some notable mentions: Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Obviously it helped that the character was so well written, but also Nicholas Hoult is such a phenomenal actor, and the combination of these two things make him feel more like Lex Luthor than any portrayal I've seen on screen. Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen. I remember watching Skylar Gisondo in Vacation, and let me tell you, I would genuinely be surprised if there was a better actor to portray Jimmy Olsen. Skylar Gisondo has the red hair, the freckles, and even the general vibe of Jimmy Olsen. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Lois Lane played a huge part in this movie, and Rachel Brosnahan really brought her to life. Never was I taken out of the story. And finally, David Cornswet as Superman. Over the many years of Superman, there have been many great actors who have stepped into the bright red boots. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think David Cornswet plays him the best. Not only does he have the skill to play such a challenging character, but he also looks more like Clark Kent and Superman than any other. Which brings me to my next point: the costume design. Probably the second most controversial part of the movie is the costume design. James Gunn has a track record of making colorful movies with Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad. And there are many criticisms that the new Superman is too cartoony. But I think that's just a superhero movie. And I think that the red underwear adds far more to the character than what it takes away. All of this comes back to James Gunn knowing how to make a character feel like that character. Whether it's red underwear, a cool action scene, him drawing from his own life, Or even a 3-second scene where Superman saves a squirrel. James Gunn knows how to take a character from the panels and make them real. And now, I'd like to talk about probably the most controversial part of the movie. Superman's overtly pro-Palestine message was executed masterfully. Given the powers of Superman, who among us wouldn't try and stop a war? And to see Superman facing the very real political backlash that would come from stopping a war, for doing something objectively good? Consequences for good deeds has always been a fundamental part of characters like this. And the way it's done in this movie is just perfect. Not only do they keep the real world events of our time relevant, but it's also not misplaced. It serves a purpose for both the characters and the overall story. Superman was truly an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it yet, buy your tickets now. And buy some tickets for the next night because you're gonna want to see it again. For the final section of this video, I'd like to talk about my drawing. As soon as I came out of the theater, I knew I had to make a drawing. Originally, it was just going to be Superman, but it just felt right to add Krypto beside him. Every step of this drawing was very improvised. I tried to make his face look like David Cornswet, but I didn't pick a good angle or good detail brushes, so it was very hard to add the detail to make it look like David Cornswet. I was also experimenting with line weight, which is something I never found very interesting, but was surprised to find out that it's actually pretty fun. Although we'll have to see if that holds up. I might continue to experiment with line weight, but I might just give in to my lazy ways. For the color, I was originally going to experiment with some cell shading, but when I was finished filling in the color, something about it just felt right. And after a quick background, the piece was done. Thank you all so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and comment on what you would like me to do next. I'm done now. You can go.